What's going on? So, in remembrance for 9/11, right? uh, I just want to just talk about, where were you on 9/11, right? I'm sure everybody remembers where they were at when 9/11 happened, and I would just like to share my personal story of that whole day. It's historic, right? And so, okay, so 9/11, 2001, right? Which would be, wow, 24 years ago now. Uh, I was at Beaumont, Texas. I was at USP, United States Penitentiary, Beaumont, in Beaumont, Texas. I think, yeah, I got there in 2000, so I had been there maybe about a year. Yeah, about a year and a half now. And if anybody knows about Beaumont, it goes by the name of Bloody Beaumont. That place was dangerous. It was the most dangerous penitentiary in the federal system at that time. And it went by the moniker Bloody Beaumont, and it lived up to its name for sure, right? It's the prison where I got stabbed and almost lost my life down there. And so that day, I'll never forget it. I mean, how can you forget something like this? And so I was in a typing class, right? They had, in prison they have different, different classes you could sign up for, get a little certificate, whatever. It's just really to give you something to do. It's not really they don't teach trades or anything like that. It's just more of a skill. And so, I signed up for all the classes I can. I stayed as busy as I possibly could for sure. And I was in typing class, and I'll never forget somebody came in there and said that that a plane just hit the towers. Right, this one of the first Tower One had got hit by the plane, and it was just right around that time where uh, in prison, how this is how they operate in a maximum security federal prison. I can't speak for other institutions, okay, but every hour they'll do like a 5 minute, 10 minute move. So you can go from your unit to the yard within that time, but then once you get to the yard, you have to stay on the yard until the next hour, until the next movement period, and then you can go back to your unit or go to the library, rec hall, whatever. But wherever you go on that rec move, you have to stay in that particular area. And so the news hit when the news came down to the classroom. I was in the education department that a plane had just hit the World Trade Center in New York. And it was just right around that time there was a open movement to shoot back to the unit. So I rushed back to my unit, right? And I made it just in time in the TV room. I'm in there. Everybody's in there watching what was going on, and we see the smoke coming from the tower, and so we're watching the news broadcast. And as we're watching, we see the second plane come and hit the tower. And I'll never forget. I'm watching it in real time, but as you're watching it, we're watching it in real time, right? But as we see this plane coming in, it's so surreal. It's almost like that I'm watching like it was recorded. Like it had already happened, and we're just watching, a playback of the event. But in actuality, it was in real time, right? And I mentioned that because I'll never forget watching the second plane come in and hit the building, and trying to process what I just witnessed. Like wow, this just happened. And so let me give you my mindset. It's gonna sound kind of bad, but you got to understand something. Let me see. So this was in 2001. I got arrested in '93. I didn't get to the prison, the BOP prison system, till uh, until '94. You know, after I got my time, and then they send you off to prison. So it wasn't until '94 that I actually entered into the BOP, the Bureau of Prisons. And so you can figure I had been locked up about 7.5, 8 years by this time, and still had a little ways to go, right? And so during this period of time in prison, I wasn't, I wasn't trying to better myself. I mean, I'm learning how to type. I took the culinary arts class. I'm taking all these different classes. That's just more to have something to do, right? But as far as like really trying to better myself as a human being and stuff like that, nah, I was just really just doing my time. And so my mindset at that time, I was still so much full of anger and 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 uh, and uh, and being so anti-America because I'm in a government prison, and it was so easy to adopt the mentality of that the federal government was my enemy, right? That America was my enemy, and so that was my mindset as a federal prisoner. And so when I saw the towers or the plane hit the tower, and then ultimately they ended up collapsing and stuff like that, I'm not like celebrating, but I'm kind of like, like yay for the good guys, right? For striking America, right? And I feel I say this with so much shame now. It just shows you how much I've come since then, right? Let me see. It's 2001, September 2001. Uh, how old was I? 30, maybe something like that. Yeah, I was 30. So, but now, so this is I say all that because this is the part of the story that I want to get to. And so while I'm in the TV room, rooting for the bad guys for striking the U.S. and taking it to the bad guys, right? Uh, I'll never forget. There was this other inmate. Uh, we called him Prince. Now, if anybody, Prince is part of the. He was from New York. He's part of what was known as the Dream Team, the Supreme, well-known major figure from Detroit, out of Queens, and you can go online. You'll see about his documentaries and stuff like that. And and me and him, we used to play chess all the time. So I knew Prince pretty well. But see, uh, New York and Detroit had just recently had a war in that prison where a couple guys from Detroit had took the life of one of the New York guys. So there was always tension between New York and Detroit inmates, right? Now, I had just got there. And so this New York Detroit war had happened before I got to the prison, but the energy was still there. There was still a lot of tension between New York and Detroit behind this, okay? And but because I wasn't there when it happened, I wasn't really that much aware of the tension. Okay, I knew the stories, of course, but I wasn't very aware of the tension still being in the air between New York inmates and Detroit inmates. Now, while I'm in the TV room rooting for the bad guys for striking the U.S., right? Prince walked past the TV room and he gave me a look like he was ready to come in there and kill me, right? Because he's from New York, so he took it personal that somebody would attack New York, and then to see me in the TV room hooping and hollering, you know, celebrating the fact that somebody has struck the U.S. in such a way. I feel so bad even saying that, but it's the truth. And and so Prince, he was not happy about me for that, and I'll never forget him walking past the TV room, and I looked out the window into the day room, and I see him walking past, and he was looking me dead in my soul, and like he, because Prince was a killer, and so. And he gave me that look like he wanted to come in there and put a knife in my heart behind me and they're celebrating the fact that they just struck New York in such a way. And so, yeah, that was my 9/11 day. I feel so much shame saying that now because I can't imagine being that person now that would celebrate such a thing. And it just goes to show you how my mindset was then at that time, being locked up in prison, and here I am now, 24 years later, right? And so thank God for that. He has brought me a long way, and so yeah, that's my 9/11 story. I was in Beaumont, Texas, and yeah, Prince of the Supreme Team out of Queens, New York. Look it up on YouTube. He's a well-known mob figure out of Queens, and doing life sentence. I got more stories about Prince, but yeah, me and him, we used to play chess. I'm a fantastic chess player. That's one of the things I can say to my credit. And I always said that had my life had more of a structured, you know, environment growing up, that's probably would have been my claim to fame right there, being a renowned chess grandmaster. I play at a professional level, and yeah, and Prince was good, so it was good competition between us across the chessboard. But yeah, I'll never forget that. I can still see him looking at me, staring me in my soul. Boy, that look of death was on his face. He was not happy with me, right? I'm not happy with me saying it. So I can't even be upset about Prince being upset at me at that time. And it's funny when I can look back at myself and see me now, and it's so weird because when I think about a lot of my past, it's almost like I'm thinking about somebody else, and then when I know that that's me, and it's like wow, it really just makes me thank the Lord that much harder. And so yeah, that's where I was at on 9/11, and so I just want to send my shout out to the victims of 9/11. I did get a chance to go to Shanksville, Pennsylvania, to the to the memorial there, Flight 93 Memorial, which is pretty interesting to see. And that's one of the last trips that me and my mother made before she passed away. And I'll never forget. There's a thing. I know it's on my Facebook page on in my pictures and stuff. I might re-upload that, but there was these combat boots that a soldier, after he came back from Afghanistan, he donated his combat boots to the memorial. And I remember standing there and just looking at those boots, and they're all dirty, and you could tell they were well used. And just imagine, what that soldier seen and went through. And so yeah, I always like to remember Flight 93 because for me they were the first ones who fought back against terrorism and stood up for us Americans, right? So shout out to Flight 93, and my prayers once again to the family of the 9/11 victims. And so yeah, it's an American thing, and so we shouldn't forget uh, that day, right? It changed our country for sure. But I'll never forget the outcome of that was there was unity. We saw that. I don't think we've ever had that much patriotic unity in this country since that time, and especially when you see where we are now, it's a shame. Anyway, I just wanted to share that story. So yeah, shout out to 9/11 Memorial today. I'll leave it there. So if you like what I do, hit me with a subscribe, a like, and a comment. I welcome it all. Until next time.